This episode is proudly supported by OpenTable.
Nearly 1/3 of diners are booking same day. So they're making those decisions on the spot. And 10% are making their bookings within just a few hours. And so it's why it's so important to have booking software like OpenTable, which allows your diners to discover you. And so when restaurants are on platforms like OpenTable, they're much more likely to be discovered. We help diners to connect to restaurants. Ultimately, having technology, using technology, helps you to reattach to those diners.
Experience the power of OpenTable. For an exclusive offer, visit restaurant.opentable.com.au/DITW.
In Tasmania, I have a lot better understanding of what's in season or how to process our food through the year. So it's quite interesting cooking in Tasmania as well. That opens up my eyes as well, how to utilize seasonal produce.
Today on Dirty Linen, we are heading to beautiful Tasmania to talk to Chef Mika Chae. Mika is the Korean-born chef who's heading up Grain of the Silos in Launceston. I've had the privilege of eating his food. Mika, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Hello, Dani. How are you today?
I am really good, and I'm just feeling some beautiful Tasmanian vibes today. Tell us about Grain of the Silos and the work that you do there.
Yeah, Grain of the Silo is the restaurant supporting local community and small farmers. So we work with so many small farmers to source all the ingredients what we use here. So basically, what's in the season, we try to get as much as we can and just put everything on the menu, what's available in the season, and try to work with local community, having more relationship with them, and to create better culture in Tasmania as well.
What are some of your favourite producers to work with?
Oh, it's so many, to be honest. At the moment, we have two main producers for vegetables, which is Seven Spring Farm from near Cradle Mountain and First Farm. They are small producers. However, their quality of the produce is exceptional. They are all organic and chemical free, and their selection of the vegetables are not as many as compared to Melbourne. However, when it's available, the quality is exceptional. And also, recently we were hunting for local beef to use on our restaurant menu. And recently we found a couple of more small beef farmers, which is Glentory Farm in Wynyard and Tasmanian Agriculture Company in Deloraine. And also Summerley Farm, which is raising beautiful black cow beef, which is near restaurant, just half an hour away from the restaurant. So it's really good to use the beef around the restaurant.
When I came to Grain of the Silos for the Agricultured Festival, we were really privileged to eat the Summerley farm beef and even to visit the farm. So we did a series of podcasts with those producers in the area that you use there. And we'll put a link in the show notes so that people can catch up on those. But I mean, what I understood from Summerley is that, Massimo Mele, who founded the restaurant there, really had to campaign to get some of their beef into the kitchen. It's so sought after. It's such a small production. It feels like you've got to have these really, I guess, trusting relationships with those small farmers in that northern part of Tassie.
Yes, absolutely. So, for example, like for the beef steak cut, a lot of people like Scotch fillet or sirloin, but from the small farmers, they only produce certain amount of beef. So we can't just order, hey, I want 6 Scotch fillet this big, not like this. So we have to buy whole carcass or half carcass or hind quarter. So to utilize them, we have to use all part of beefs. So when beef comes in, our project starts, okay, this part goes into sausage, this part goes into, we make some air-dried beef, and then some prime cut we do steaks and some mince. Some of them we mince them, we can make some meatballs as well. So it's more fun, more approaching to food. It's a lot more work, but a lot more happening. And then that comes to the final dish, and then there's basically more story behind the dish, not only the food, also with farmers as well.
Yeah, it's it's so resonant and so connected. I mean, I'd love to understand what took you there. Was it this connection with produce? Were you hungering for that, closer to the land approach?
Yes. So when I was in Melbourne, I already had a very huge curiosity about Tasmanian produce. Also, some native produce like pepperberry on Tasmanian pepper leaf, and also I heard about so many things about local produce in Tasmania. So similar to Tasmania in Korea, there is an island called Jeju Island. So that's also like a separate island, similar to Tasmania, a lot smaller, but a lot of chefs going there to find out or to study ingredients or the new culture of the cooking. So I opened my eyes to Tasmania, or maybe I should go there to study more about the food, not only dishes, so food and the background of to understand about how is the food chain over there. So far I'm having really good fun, and also the stuff I'm finding is actually a lot more than I expected. So every day something's coming new. So I learn so much new things on daily basis. So it's really great opportunity to learn and study.
I love that about food. There's always so much to learn. It's just interesting every single day. So Mika, tell us about, I feel like we're telling your story backwards because I want to know about, what took you from Korea to Australia. But let's talk about your time in Melbourne. Tell us about some of the places you worked at and your experiences.
Yeah, I came into Australia in 2013, right after finishing my military service. So like every Korean man most of them have to go compulsory military service for 21 months. So one day I was looking at the sky and then airplanes flying around, and then, maybe after military service, I want to go somewhere. Then I want to have experience in the bigger world. And then I look around and then, let's try Australia. At that time, Australia was very popular as a working holiday. So I just came here without any planning. So I arrived here and then started like a pizza delivery or kitchen hand first 2-3 months. And then I got a job in St. Kilda called Riva St. Kilda. Then I started washing dishes and then experiencing a little bit about kitchen. And then after that, I started like cooking, because that was the first time I worked in the kitchen. And then I started studying at William English for 2 years for the course, hospitality. And then after that, I wanted to stay more in Australia, and then I got sponsored there, and then spent, I think, 3 more years to get permanent PR. So after I get PR, I moved to Seza restaurant in the city. There was a Middle Eastern restaurant. There was a big turning point on my cooking learning process. I learned so much new things, new techniques, or I got to see new type of food. And that period was, I was very hungry for learning. So I worked full-time 5 days, but I was still want to learn more. So one day I went to Matilda 159 and then had dinner over there, and the food was just phenomenal. So I was so curious, how do they make that? I want to learn that as well. So I just asked them, is it okay I come a couple of days to learn, like a stage? And then, I did 5 days work and then 2 days stage to learn more things for 6 weeks. There was a hard period, but it was very worth time in my career. And after that, after finishing my stage period, I wanted to do something more. So I had a good friend. His name is Kim, who is chef at James at the moment. So we are a good friend. We always talk about food together. And then, let's try pop-up restaurant. I'm really keen on to doing that. So we start planning and then prepare around about for 5 months to do our first pop-up. So the concept was Korean influenced cuisine. So we did our first pop-up in 2019, November. And then, of course, we planned everything. We worked so hard to make it happen. And then our first pop-up finally happened. And then actually it was a very good day, but it wasn't perfect. It wasn't as smooth as we thought. There are a lot more challenges. It was not easy, to be honest. And then after the first pop-up, everyone was happy. We had very good experience. And then, but this was actually, we could have done better. So let's plan second one. And then we worked 2 or 3 months later. And then we did second pop-up. And then second pop-up was a lot more organized. Everything was much better planning. So the service went really well. First pop-up was, for me, it was like a pop-up. But second one was very close to the restaurant service on that night. So after that second pop-up, we were quite happy and satisfied. And then we made an improvement in 3 months' time. So there was a great turning point as well. And then, the COVID happened and then lockdown. The restaurant closed. So my restaurant was closed in the time. So I still have to survive. And then I was looking for a job, and then I got a job offer in butcher shop. So this is another completely different experience, what I used to do. But still, at that time, I had not much choices to work in the restaurant. So I worked in butcher shop and learned some butchery. And then that time, pre-made meals were very popular during the lockdown time. So I was working at butcher shop, and then that time I got an opportunity to work at Attica, which was my dream kitchen for a long time. I think I applied 3 or 4 times at Attica last few years before I got the job. But at that time I didn't have proper visa to work there. So finally I got my visa done. And when the opportunity came in, I started working at Attica, and then that period was like unreal. Every day was so much learning.
Wow, you really packed so much in, Mika. I want to learn about your time at Attica, but just tracking back to the pop-ups and your work with Kim, and I love what he's doing at James. It's such interesting food with a lot of Korean techniques, but Australian ingredients. I think it's very interesting. So were your pop-ups? Were they a sort of Korean expression, or was it a different influences coming into them?
Our concept was Australian modern dining, but we had with touch of Korean influence. So this first dish is quite similar to James now. So we want to do some cool stuff, but every single course we want to have some Korean color in there. So what we've done there, we had some pork chop, like buckshot pork chop, and then marinate with gochujang, and then finish on the charcoal. That was really good dish as well. And that time we were thinking there were not many modern Korean restaurant in Melbourne at that time. So we wanted to try how is the market will be. We also have a curiosity of, is Korean food going to be popular? Because that's our next goal. That was our next goal in 5 years time. So I wanted to check the market, how people will react with Korean food. And then when the Korean dish is twisted in Australian way, is people going to like it, or people going to hate it, or they feel more interested about food, about our dishes? But overall, people were very excited and interested, and I could see a lot of people keen on what we are doing it. So there was really fun, actually. Yeah.
So cool. I think, the non-Koreans in Australia generally have so much to learn about Korean food. I know that I'm learning, every time I eat something Korean, it's like understanding more about the subtleties and the different styles of food, but also sensing a frustration from many Korean chefs is, this desire to expand the Australian idea of Korean food, like beyond barbecue, beyond fried chicken, to just to understand the enormous breadth and the great variety of influences that come to play on this cuisine.
Yes, absolutely. And also we had a quite interesting approach to the Korean food, because both Kim and myself, we have never worked in the Korean restaurant. Both of us, we arrived in Australia and we learned cooking here. So pretty much our cooking style is very Australian, or we learn French, Italian techniques, but actually we have never cooked Korean food properly. We do cook at home, but not as good as like Korean chefs. So our cooking style, even if we do Korean food, it's not. I don't think it's more authentic. It's more like a Australian dish made by Australian. However, we are grown up in Korea, so we have better understanding of how flavor should be like. So we are aiming to find the flavor, to reach the flavor of what we wanted, and then still want to create as a. When you look at the dish, oh, this is not Korean dish. It's still like one of the restaurant when you go Melbourne. So that kind of similar dishes. So that was our approach to our dishes on the pop-up.
I remember chatting to Sang-Soo Kim from James about that, exactly as you say, that culinary journey where he cooked at pubs, he cooked a lot of Mediterranean food, and then when he wanted to bring the Korean food that he remembered into it, it was almost like reaching back into a dream to find these flavors that he knew so well. But yeah, as you say, you weren't trained in cooking those.
Yes. It was quite interesting. And then we found out that time, actually, we are not very good at Korean food, so let's study a bit.
That's so cool. So tell me about Attica, Mika, because did you join Attica in lockdown, like while they were doing takeaway, while it was all about takeaway?
Yeah, I joined Attica during the lockdown. So I worked during lockdown around 3 months, and then luckily lockdown finished, and then I worked another 5 or 6 months as a normal trading. But during the lockdown, I think I was very lucky that I joined during lockdown, because I got to see so many different things, what's happening in there. So in one restaurant, Attica was still doing like a lot of takeaways, lasagna, beautiful dishes and lots of cakes. But at the same time, they still offer the full tasting menu takeaway. So I had an opportunity to see so many different things such a short period of time.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And so was it from Attica that you went to Tassie, or was there something in between?
So lockdown finished and I worked another 5 months at Attica, and that time I was looking at Tasmania, and then I got an opportunity to work at Grain of Silos, so I moved down. So it was such a hard decision, because Attica was a restaurant I've been dreaming about so long time. But that time is more like my personal life. That time I was in Melbourne, like I'm not sure 8 or 9 years, and then I sort of wanted to experience something new. Like for example, on my day off, like if I want to go somewhere, I look at the map, and then that period is like, I've been there. Like I want to go somewhere new, but there's not much place to go somewhere new. Or even the restaurant, I've tried there. So that period of time, I was really looking for something new to refresh my life.
So Mika, you went from Attica to Tasmania. Like, how do you see your career progressing? Do you still want to bring some of these Korean ideas into the food you're presenting in Australia?
Yeah, absolutely, because that could be my strong part of one of my cooking scene, because I grown up in Korea, so that's my soul food. So I know the flavor. I just need to find out the way to present that flavor in Australia.
What are some things that you feel Australians don't understand about Korean food?
In general, I think when Korean food becomes very authentic, there is a variances of what people's preferences. So, for example, kimchi. For example, kimchi. If we make a really traditional, authentic kimchi, of course that can be amazing. But however, it could be, for some people, it could be really strong, or it could be too much for some people. So if we modify a little bit to make what people like. So I think that's the hospitality. So we need to give what people like to eat. So recently, I made a kimchi at Grain with garlic scapes. So last year I made kimchi with Ferris Farm wonbok, which is really beautiful wonbok. And then I made a fish sauce in the house as well. So we made a kimchi. It was very popular. A lot of people liked it, but at the same time, I could see a lot of people were not big fan of that. And then this year, I was thinking I wanted to try something different. So this year I had a lot of garlic scapes from 3 different farmers. So 1 week I had I think 20 kilo garlic scapes coming from everywhere. So that week I just pickle everything. So everything goes into the jar. I was thinking maybe I'll use for during winter when there is not much produces. So about a couple of months ago, I opened 1 jar and then tried something new. And then I made a kimchi paste, which is same way of the making normal kimchi with wonbok. However, the garlic scapes is not natural. Instead of doing natural fermentation, the garlic scapes is from pickle. So still have similar texture, but it's a little bit sweeter than normal kimchi and less sour. But when you eat the garlic scapes kimchi, it still tastes like kimchi, but it's a lot more neutralized in flavor wise. So this kimchi is very popular at the moment, and I could see there's more demand compared to the original kimchi that I made last year.
And Mika, what sort of dishes would you serve that with?
I put that on the side as a side, so they can select side of kimchi on add-on. However, I always put with pork, Forky Farm pork chop. So you tried that pork chop last time when you came in for Meet the Producer Night. So we do get 2 pork loin and 2 pork belly every month. So Forky Farm is one of our producer artisan who's using buckshot pig to make air dry pork for us. And then sometimes they do have excess pork. So I do get the fresh pork for us. So when the pork comes in, I just put them on the special menu. And then I serve with kimchi because buckshot pig is a little bit fattier than usual pig. So that kimchi cut it through really well with that pork.
My mouth is watering hearing you talk about that. I went to a special lunch at Forkett Farm and experienced their beautiful pork there as well. The lunch was a pig's head lunch, so it was 3 courses, all different parts of the pig's head, culminating in this roasted pig's head. It was, yes, as you say, like it's quite rich, but so much flavour. And to be, on this free range farm where you can see the pigs living their happy lives, it's really, really special. I think, as you're talking about, having all these garlic scapes and, that connection with produce, Korean food is so frugal, like it really makes the most of everything. And so much of that preserving is about, as you said, having food for winter. It feels that when you're working with producers as closely as you are, that Korean food is actually very aligned. The Korean kitchen makes sense in that context.
Yes, absolutely. So in Tasmania, I have a lot better understanding of what's in season or how to process our food through the year. So, for example, wonbok, when I was in Melbourne, wonbok was available through the whole year because Melbourne has such a good city to use all the ingredients through the whole year because they have better access. However, in Tasmania, things are very limited. So traditionally, kimchi in Korea, we make right before winter because the first wonbok will be coming out just in that time. So traditionally, we make kimchi with wonbok which got first frost just right before winter because that's the best. The wonbok is the best flavor and texture to make kimchi. So when I went to Tasmania, I didn't see wonbok through the whole year. And then right before winter, Ferris Farm called me and then, we got some wonbok, first wonbok. Would you like to get some? And then, yes, absolutely. And then I got wonbok. And then I was thinking, actually, this is exactly like Korea. Right before winter, I got the wonbok, which has got first frosted and then I make kimchi on that week through the whole winter season. So it's very similar way or similar approach the way we cook in Korea. So it's quite interesting cooking in Tasmania as well. That opens up my eyes as well, how to utilize seasonal produce.
That's so cool. Absolutely love that. So, Mika, tell us about food in Korea. You know, I know that you didn't work in food, but tell us about, you know, the food when you were growing up. What place did food have in your household and in your life?
Yeah, my hometown is called Gwangju, which is the south part of Korea. So that province is well known for good food, actually, very good food. So everything is tasty. But the one special thing in my hometown is we do get a lot of side dishes still. So, for example, if you order a bowl of soup and rice, if you order in Korea, you will get probably 5 side dishes to come with. But in my hometown, you should be able to get like 15 different side dishes with just one serve of rice and soup. So I get to chance lots of different types of vegetables, some seasonal vegetables on the side. And then also in Korea, there are lots of street food in everywhere. So the street food, I think the street food, I really like street food in general. But in Australia, I don't see many Korean street food, because I think Korean food is not very popular like Japanese or Vietnamese yet. But however, I'm pretty sure in the future there'll be a industry or there'll be a demand from people who like that kind of street food. And then if someone make it well in Australia, I think there will be really great opportunity to meet more food like unseen Korean food in Australia.
Well, I will certainly line up for it. So what street food would you love to see here?
Definitely. In Korea, when you go to near the sea area, so there are a lot of barbecue. When you think about Korean barbecue, you will think about pork belly or pork or beef barbecue. However, in Korea, the seafood barbecue is very popular. So you will get to see there are like 10, 20 different types of shellfish. They're all alive. They're just coming out from the water. And then you put on the charcoal. And then people just sit down on the street and then have seafood barbecue with shellfish barbecue, I would say. And some really good seafood, abalone and prawns. So you don't have to get a restaurant to have that seafood. You just easily can sit down like a temporary shop on the street and then can enjoy like beautiful seafood on the charcoal with, again, 20 different side dishes. That type of food is my soul Korean food.
I am happy to make that my soul food as well. That sounds so good, Mika. Please at least do that as a pop-up one day. I will fly anywhere for that.
One day, seafood shellfish barbecue.
Yeah, it would be amazing. It would be amazing to do that in Tassie.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, Tasmania also we have beautiful seafood in Tasmania when it's in season. So yeah, like a couple of months ago, the beautiful clam from George's Bay came to our restaurant, and then we were lucky to use that clam. But again, in Tasmania, very seasonality. We only got a chance once a year, that beautiful clam. But definitely at the moment we use mussel from East Coast President Marine Farm. They're also really beautiful mussel, to be honest. So yeah, definitely I have enough ingredients to do that. So I'm looking forward to do that kind of meal as well.
Awesome. Mika, so fantastic to catch up with you, to learn more about your career and your approach to food. Really, thank you so much for sharing with us today on Dirty Linen.
Thank you so much, Dani. It was my pleasure to be part of here.
I look forward to eating your food again soon.
Yeah, please come.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent.
We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtyLinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This